Hello everyone, and today we will be attempting to survive another 100 days in Auction Not Included. Today our focus is setting up a second colony on our sister planet Abnormola, mining out half the world for a secret project, and building a rocket to start traveling between planets. To kick off our journey, I spent the first few days doing a little house cleaning. The floor of the main base was riddled with debris, so I queued up a sweeping errand on the whole interior of the base to have the items moved to a newly constructed storage array situated in the stables. This was done mainly to ease my OCD, but it also helped the decor of the base. Since this was mainly a cosmetic fix, I wanted the dupes to do it as quickly as possible to allow time for more important tasks. That meant saying all the errands to Yellow Alert to tell them the floors get cleaned now. For the most part, this was working until they started neglecting their personal need tasks, which was really bad. All 6 of the dupes decide that starvation is what's about to happen. And we only have 71 items left to sweep, so I'm just gonna cancel all those sweep operations for the time being and give them the opportunity to eat. With all those cancelled and Yellow Alert over, how close are each of the dupes to starving? I bet some of them are overreacting. Camilla's at 920, P's at 920, Meemaw's at 690. So as a whole, they aren't doing that good, but it's night now, so they should be heading to eat. Hopefully in time, because we have more than enough calories to go around. It's just a matter of them sitting down and take some leisure time to eat it. And how's our homeboy Rowan doing? Oh geez, 200 kilocalories. Rowan, go! This is not the time to work on that beach vat. You have to eat all the calories. Okay, he's returning back to normal. That was a little too close. So believe it or not, having your base on Yellow Alert for days on end is not a good thing. So we'll clean up the rest of the debris at a priority of 9, which took us all the way until cycle 110 to finally get all the base clean, which meant it was now time to send Rowan through the teleporter to start colonizing our sister planet Abnormola. I can trust the other colony will run and shouldn't perish. So now, Rowan, let's go over here and defrost our friend. Steve, welcome to the crew. Let's see what skills you got. He's good at construction, strength, and husbandry. He's an ugly crier, so he's not destructive. That's really good. And he's 1300 cycles old. Should definitely be retired by now, but put him back in the workforce. I'm sure he'll do fine. Now that we have 2 dupes here, it is imperative that whatever we set up on this asteroid is a success. Because these take time to recharge. Like if we were to go to our other asteroid, it takes 5 cycles to recharge, so it's do or die for one of the dupes. And if I had to choose, it'd be Steve who's going. Mostly because Rowan is the GOAT and crucial to the success of the base, but also he's wearing a snazzy sweater, so we've invested in him already. First and foremost, we need to get a little bit of setup done. So I'm going to start just by digging straight down. And my hope is to actually get in contact with all this good food here. So we got mealwood, we got bristleberries. So hopefully that can be food enough to keep us going and sustained. The only tricky part is right now I don't have any resources to build ladders with. So I'm hoping, there we go, there's something to build a ladder. And we should keep uncovering that. We also do have a little bit of a buffer of food. So 17 kilograms of nutrient bars. Not sure how many calories that translates to, but not enough. And it doesn't have to be anything fancy. I want to keep the dupes happy. So we're going to plonk down 2 beds along with deconstructing this ration box. Because I want to make room for an outhouse inside of here also. And there's our outhouse. Food bars can just sit on the ground. They shouldn't go bad. And there's both of our beds for 2 of our signature dupes. Steve and Rowan, quite the duo. Oh, it looks like they actually did pick up the bristleberries and are eating that for the first meal. Saving nutrient bars for later, which is a good call in there. And we have a little bit of buffer with the oxalite in terms of oxygen, but there's no infinite renewable source of water. So I think algae might be our method of oxygen production in this world. And of course, along the way, mining out all the good old metal ore, because this asteroid has heaps of metal compared to the asteroid I started at, which I stripped completely dry of all metal, and I fully intend to do on this planet as well. And somebody made a mess. What? I built a bathroom, which had no dirt brought to it in the first day. That should be fairly easy to solve. Last bit of Rowan's mess is getting cleaned up, and we're getting tons of copper. 14.4 tons. I have not seen this much metal in ages. Now, something to watch out for is, like I said, our oxygen is very limited. Looks like our oxalate is already expended down there, so we'll need to start basing up real soon. Oh, and there's a hatch. That's something good to always see. A new dupe is available though. Hopefully I can find a good cook. I'm really in need of one of those. Which it has delivered. I'm going with Ren for his cooking expertise, already at level 7. Meaning every cooking errand he did would be significantly faster than the other dupes. Very important since there was a huge backlog of hatch eggs that would be made into barbecue once they hatch. Back on Abnormola, the dupes were focused on mining to get an ample supply of resources and a spot to build our base of operation. Abnormola ideally needed to be completely self-sufficient from the homeworld Radioactura, which meant we needed a source of oxygen, food, and amenities to keep the dupes happy. And here's our humble little abode, just a manual generator into a battery, oxygen diffuser using the algae that's actually on this planet to provide us oxygen, which is actually fairly decent, a little concerning, but we won't worry about that. A grill to cook up food, micro musher for making more food, 2 cots for Roan and good old Steve, and of course an outhouse. So here's our quick little setup that can take care of all the dupes' basic needs, which means we can move on to the second phase of colonizing Abnormola. The plan for this asteroid is to be a feeder for the main one. On Radioactura, we have absolutely no metal ore left because it was used for the buildings and electrical wires. By connecting a path to this item teleporter on Abnormola, I can send items to the home planet such as copper to keep the expansion going. All Abnormola needs is the bare minimum to keep the dupes working on it alive. While the dupes are digging up to the transport station, I am also setting all the sleet wheat in the frost biome to be auto-harvested. So we have quite a bit of resources from producing food, and it'll be completely automatic, assuming the temperature can hold out, since it is exposed to the rest of the asteroid without any abyssalite barrier, which for some reason decided not to generate for this ice biome. So over time it'll just continue to get warmer and warmer until the sleet wheat doesn't grow or all the ice melts, and that's an even bigger issue. Luckily, one that we can ignore for the time being. Back at the homeworld, there was a slight issue with my industrial district's heat going unchecked due to the geyser feeding my cooling loop being dormant. So I connected a secondary cool slush brine geyser to run the cooling line through the industrial district to soak up the heat before it got converted to clean water. Back on Abnormola, the path to the island teleporters was established with the addition of a local hamster wheel generator and battery to power it. The same was done on the homeworld side with the power coming directly from the main grid. All left to do now was to give it a test run, with the first time being bristle blossom seeds, an excellent food source item that was not native to the homeworld, so these seeds would be very useful in solidifying our food supply. That is, if they weren't stuck in the shipping pipeline, apparently due to the teleporters not being turned on. Once it was turned on, the seeds teleported between planets without a hitch, except for Rowan having some minor seizures trying to turn on the receiving teleporter. He eventually broke free and has set the Abnormola sending port to copper so the homeworld Radioactura could start getting more industrialized again, with metal no longer being the limiting factor. Aside from the teleporters, Abnormola had some useful resources such as spindly grubfruit that could be used as a food source, Sweetles that can produce sucrose for rocket travel if you feed them sulfur, which is abundantly available on the planet, along with a geyser producing it somewhere that I just need to find. In order to find that geyser, I need to search every spot that I see neutronium platforms. Those mean there's a geyser buried at that location. Luckily, I have found a total of 3 of them, so I have a few shots at finding it or some other useful geyser. Unfortunately, they are buried under obsidian that Steve and Rowan are unable to break because of a skill issue. I've also found some cobalt and iron at the bottom of the world that I can make steel from, so there is a lot of digging left to do, which convinced me to enlist the help of Meemaw, the goat of all digging dupes that can assist in digging up all the valuable ores and use her obsidian breaking skill to uncover the geysers, bringing Rowan's time on Abnormola to a close. Him and Steve built a solid foundation for the feeder colony to prosper, so it was time to send Rowan back to the main colony to assist there. Even though Meemaw was new to the asteroid, she kicked right into action. uncovering a carbon dioxide geyser in the cold biome, which could potentially be useful for rocket travel, but at the moment was better to plug up, along with a fluid oxygen geyser that on one hand was good by producing an infinite source of oxygen since there were no water geysers on this planet, but bad because my dupes surprisingly don't care for fluid air. So I plugged that one up also. And we're just about to crest this geyser, but I did just discover something. You know that sulfur geyser we were looking for? Well, I did a little exploring up here, and also up here. And in this lava lake is a liquid sulfur geyser. So I don't think it's very reachable for us at the moment. So looks like mining out the planet and exploring it is the way to go. As for the other Neutronium platform, it proved to have a carbon dioxide vent, so not useful either, and I plugged it up as well, since I don't want the heat it would output to melt the ice biome and ruin all the sleep wheat plants. With all the vents now discovered, the only thing left to do on Abnormola was to make a network of tunnels connecting all the Sweetles and grub fruit plants for easy access, and to continue shipping heaps of freshly mined copper ore to the homeworld. A relatively simple task until you factor in stress, which was rampantly uncontrolled for Meemaw. She was a very skilled dupe that had higher standards to keep her happy. This colony was built to barely function, so luxury was not easy to find. The best I could do was have Steve cook up frost buns and chuck them on the ground for storage. Meemaw grudgingly gave them a shot, and we actually met the bare minimum requirement to keep her happy and not start a union, so we'll consider that solved. Just in time because we are accepting another dupe to Radiobacteria, this time being Bubbles for her aptitude in construction to assist in our questionable plans to expand the base into the radioactive biome in our basement. I still have no idea how radiation works, so this can only go well. Hold that thought, because Meemaw is stressed again and we can't control it, so we may have a crisis on our hands. 98, that's not better, that's the wrong direction. Meemaw, why are you leaving? It's break time. Why are you going in the cold fluid water cold biome? That is not where you should relax at. I think she's still trying to do a task. We got frost buttons galore on the floor. 99% Meemaw, I don't know what to do. Her entire schedule is downtime, so she should just be doing relaxing. 100%. Okay, well, it's about to happen. Oh no, she's a vomiter. That's... Sorry, Steve. I brought this upon you. And Steve's coming home to... Oh no, I feel bad for both of them. Okay, well, Steve should probably put a priority on sweeping up the mess as it happens. There's another wave coming. Oh no. Oh, and starvation. Oh, how bad is starvation? 915 calories. Okay, meanwhile, you are leaving the island. You have served your colony well, and you really need to leave. Well, at least the frost buns don't go bad when they sit and vomit. 406 kilocalories. Oh, she's down to 60% stress. Yay! And she's eating. Oh my god. That could have gone really bad. We got a vomit-filled base, 2 stress dupes, but they are still alive. Steve has record low stress, though. I don't know how he's managing that here. I guess he's seen some stuff whenever he's been frozen. But ultimately, what Meemaw was brought here to do was to do all this crazy mining to uncover all of the events, which proved to be useless since the sulfur vent we were looking for is encased in a ton of lava. We have uncovered the entirety of the asteroid, mined out all the good cobalt, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have all of our cobalt, all of the iron, and wolframite sent to the shipping place. Oh, and Meemaw's ready to teleport. She's extra happy to leave. I'm going to cancel that temporarily. Sorry, Meemaw, you were so happy to get off this bad asteroid, but I need your assistance one more time. And you can also clean up your mess. I'm sure that's not what she wanted to hear, but I need her to help carry the ore to the teleporter in the meantime, while I start my foolproof plan to get her off the planet for good. Starting with accepting good old Hassan from my first playthrough with the same love for husbandry, which I can use to assist Camille with tending to the hatches. Then I can streamline the teleporter shipping line from Abnormola to drop the items in the center of the homeworld base for easier transport and use by the dupes by having them not have to run as far. With that streamlined, I can send Marie over to Abnormola to help shove every chunk of metal on the site into the teleporter to take some of the workload and stress from the other dupes, specifically Meemaw, which appears to be working with the beautiful solid line of copper finally streaming down the serpent line. You love to see it. The building possibilities on the homeworld are now endless. The same can't be said for Abnormola, where there is a slight issue, this time kind of a big one. My Abnormola base is dying in the worst way possible. We have more than enough food to feed the dupes, stress is at best, but carbon dioxide is out of control and my dupes can't sleep. This is sending them in a spiral of getting stressed, vomiting, and nearly dying from starvation. So it's time for a complete base overhaul that had absolutely no issues at all, and my dupes loved every second of it. Oh my god, no! We sprung a leak! No, okay, that, priority. We need to clean that up. I do not want polluted water mixed with my normal water. Is it too late? Did I save it? Okay, I think I can cancel it. I think I did it. Oh, jeez. I don't know how I managed to save that. Oh boy, now someone's suffocating. Sand once again. Steve, please dig that. You are very valuable. Not many dupes want to do your job, and the other dupes would be sad, which isn't good for morale. Oh, and the waterworks have begun. Oh, now I feel bad. I'm not going to look at it. I have full faith the problem will resolve itself. Oh, look, what a treat. They get to sleep in oxygen tonight. Everyone just needs to remember, the carbon dioxide in the basement can't hurt you. Scientifically proven. And with this final installation tile, the base on Abnormola is now complete. We have 2 slots up here for stables. We have our power generation, battery, and oxygen production that is working beautifully with the carbon dioxide being collected at the bottom, water being fed from a water reservoir that is fed up into our base, sent to the skimmer, sent to the sieve, which then is transformed from polluted water to clean water back into our supply. And then we have a grill where they can cook up food, eat out of mess hall, use the restroom, or wash your hands and go to bed. And surprisingly, stress is decreasing. Still high. Very high actually, but it's at least trending down. So the Abnormola base is now stabilized and functioning. We're also halfway through the 100 days and not any closer to achieving space travel. So let's start working towards that. Beginning with installing the grooming station, feeder, and drop-off marker for the stables. My plan for achieving space travel is using a sugar rocket engine that utilizes sucrose as the fuel source, coincidentally provided by Sweetles that are abundant on Abnormola. To secure my fuel source, I went around the map adding tunnels to free all the innocently trapped Sweetles. By setting them all free, they could eat the sulfur laying on the ground to produce the sucrose. I could also trap a few of them in the stable and domesticate them to produce even more sucrose per sulfur they got fed. While I did this, I also had to keep mining for algae to keep producing oxygen at the oxygen diffuser. Once the last of the Sweetles were freed, I went around mining all the sulfur deposits in the walls to add to the feeders in the stables and for the Sweetles to eat off the ground, which eventually devolved into mining out the entire asteroid, leaving only enough blocks for my dupes to walk across. This asteroid was never meant to be a home, just an ore patch to feed the insatiable hunger of my main colony that currently desired all the sucrose I could find. So I needed to get the stables running, starting by abducting some unsuspecting Sweetles and promising them a brighter future filled with all the sulfur they would ever need. I had 8.1 tons of it with their name on it. All I wanted in return was the sucrose they produced, which started trickling in. The wild Sweetles were doing their best to help as well, with small nodes of sucrose popping up across the map. Those final modifications put Abnormola in a great spot with an abundance of food, so my attention could finally be placed back on the main colony. With the influx of iron ore coming from Abnormola, I could start producing refined iron and steel, which was required to build the modules of the rocket, so I needed a lot of it. To speed up production, I could have utilized smooth hatches to eat the iron ore to make refined iron, and devote my refineries to just making steel. The only issue with this was the smooth hatches only yield 75% of the ore they eat as refined metal. With metal already being limited and shipped in from Abnormola, I chose to keep the refinery to the machines. On the topic of efficiency, I was producing way too much food, with a lot of it spoiling even with it being stored in the refrigerators. As a solution, I evicted an entire stable's worth of hatches, since 2 stables was enough to feed my current dupes, and having the extra stable was a waste of the igneous rock I used to feed them. Speaking of which, I wanted to switch to granite since igneous is a great insulator for base walls, while granite is just a pretty rock that was expendable. Oh boy, and Steve decided to make a mess on the other asteroid. Why would he do that? No, he was not trapped in any way, shape, or form. He was indeed trapped. By sand, of course, his all-time worst nemesis. I'll have to keep an eye on Steve and the sand dispute, because it seems like at every opportunity the sand tries to kill him. I'm not sure what he did in his past life before he was frozen, but the sand is definitely out to get him. Back at the main colony, I set up the material study terminal to gain access to the applied science research needed to unlock steam turbines. I had basic and advanced science already taken care of, and to get the applied science, I had to generate rad bolts manually to run the material study terminal. In order to generate the rad bolts, I had to steal refined uranium from the beta hives, located in the frigid cold underworld of the asteroid. The betas needed this cold biome to survive, so I made sure to construct an insulated barrier to keep it nice and cold, with just one ladder descending into the depths to connect a path to the beta hives. I wasn't sure how friendly the betas would be, so I made sure to have a door buffer between my dupes and them. For the incoming heist of enriched uranium, I went searching for a new dupe that could carry a lot of items. This way, construction errands could be done faster, since the heist would need to be done quickly. Oh boy, did I find a perfect dupe for that job. Ari had 2 plus 15 modifiers of strength, which increases the amount of materials she can carry. She was the obvious choice, just the dupe I needed, or so I thought. Once she was accepted, I was so happy I found her, until I discovered I was scammed. What is this 12 strength modifier? I was promised 30. The only reasons I can think why this discrepancy happened is A, she lied on a resume, B, my food is so bad that she instantly got weak, or C, and the most probable, I do not have steroids here for her to take. Whatever the case, I was stuck with her now, and I had some enriched uranium to steal. I thought the bees would be hard to sneak past to reach the hive, until I discovered them breathing in carbon dioxide puts them to sleep. Just the edge we needed to break in unseen. The only unknown now was how my dupes were affected by radiation, which I left as an occupational hazard that I would address if the problem arose. My colony doesn't provide health insurance, so as long as they're breathing, we're good. Before I started the heist, I checked in on Abnormola, which was completely mined to nothing. All the copper ore and sulfur that could be extracted was lying on the floor, ready to ship. Glorious 178 tons of it. Imagine all the electrical wires I could make now, along with 36 tons of sulfur, so sucrose was not a concern anymore. I left the dupes to feed all the ore into the teleporter while I stole some uranium. Just gonna send it. I think the bees should be kind of chill like that. I mean, Hassan's going down there to do it. What could possibly go wrong? He's going down. I hope they're chill like that. Are they chill like that? Given the fact we are stealing the resources they've worked 164 cycles to gather. But I think Hassan is quite persuasive and can pull it off. I mean, they're just kind of floating around, pretending he's not even there. En route. Go, run! You actually did it, you mad lad. I do not know how you didn't get stung. You may be suffocating, but you did not get stung, so that is good. Looks like Camille is going to take up where Hassan left off. Are they chill with Camille? Oh, actually rhyme. Okay, they gotta be chill. Oh, they are chill like that. In that case, take all the enriched uranium before they notice. This heist has gone better than I could have dreamed, and it looks like completely unnoticed. The real question is, how radioactive was it down here? Ooh, looks like more than a banana, but less than Chernobyl, so we're good. With the freshly obtained enriched uranium, I used it for rad pulp production, which in turn progressed my research and discovery of useful technology. Starting with the steam turbine for a cooling loop and solar panels for easy power production. They were done in no time, and with one research completed, I relocated the science setup into my oxygen-filled base, since its old location only had carbon dioxide for the dupes to breathe, which they did not quite like. I keep trying to sell them on it, but they prefer the oxygen to be included. The relocation made them able to focus on rad bulk production and research more instead of getting air to breathe. So in no time, I researched the glass forge and bunker tiles to protect the base from meteor showers on the surface, with some issues along the way. Oh geez, and I just discovered a problem. You notice how Lyra's health is critically low? Yeah, it's because she kept walking into the beam. I'd never caught her, but I'm assuming that's what happened because she's the only one who's horrendously damaged. I sent Lyra over to the triage cot to heal up and recover. While she did that, I attempted to solve the issue by relocating the Radbolt generator one block taller so the dupes didn't walk directly through the path the Radbolt traveled. This seemed to work until I found the actual issue, which was producing Radbolts too quickly so the research terminal couldn't consume them fast enough, got overcharged, and discharged the excess power, damaging the dupe operating it, freezing them in place so they couldn't move, which was quite concerning, but Rowan eventually kicked back into action. The fix was attaching an automation line between the research terminal and the Radbolt generator that shut off the generator when the terminal's capacity of 100 Radbolts was filled. The next build project was setting up the glass forge early. My main use of glass is making solar panels, which is basically free energy. To make the glass, I have the forge on its own power network, powered entirely by a hamster wheel. To cool the molten glass, I'm just ducting it into the ocean below. The salt water is fairly cool, so it can absorb the heat and solidify the glass without affecting the environment too much. Not like that has ever been a concern, because my next project was destroying the entire right half of the world. Yes, the entire right half. Whatever was once there has to be moved. It was a sanctuary to a bunch of poke shells and waterweed plants, but I had something much cooler in mind. Picture it right now. Instead of a natural environment for poke shells or housing for my dupes, how about a massive nuclear reactor capable of powering the entire colony? Power shortages were plaguing me in my last playthrough, so this time would be different. I would either successfully build a nuclear reactor to solve my power, or cause a nuclear fallout so bad my entire colony implodes. There is no in between, and that's what makes it exciting. The process, however, was not very forgiving on the colony. I abused the yellow alert priority again to get the hole dug, and it shows. Stress is nearly at the limit. Food, we are at half the calories we started at, and carbon dioxide is everywhere on the exterior of the base. So my dupes have to hold their breath every time they leave to do any errand. So things could be better. On the bright side, I found another OG dupe from my first playthrough, Otto, and he is now part of the colony with the role of piloting rockets alongside Rowan, the dynamic duo of dupes. Abnormola is ironically thriving in comparison to the homeworld in every metric. Stress does not exist. Food is good for the next 11 cycles, and oxygen is actually included. As for our copper supplies, they managed to ship 141 tons of the 187 we start with. So this ragtag team of 3 dupes is killing it, making my desire to ship a ton of copper to the main colony no longer the main priority. So I hatched a plan to produce even more sucrose by making a holding cell to store all the wild Sweetles in and moving all the sulfur into it. This way I can have all the Sweetles producing sucrose without having an issue finding the food. Since they're wild, they also don't have a need to eat, so there's no downside to running out of sulfur, even though we have 40 tons of it, so that won't happen for a long time. While on Abnormola, I also set up some automation to lessen my dupe's workload, starting with a coal generator being fed by an auto sweeper to power the base and store the charge in a smart battery. This made it so the dupes no longer had to use the hamster wheel to make power. My next automation project was moving the shipping port connected to the teleporter to over the new Sweetle stable. This way it was closer to the base and could have an auto sweeper pick up the sucrose the Sweetles made and automatically ship it to Radioactera. Speaking of which, still has an issue at the Radbolt generator since Rowan has collapsed on the ground, needing medical attention. My best guess why my automation wiring didn't work is because, let's say the research terminal was at 90 stored Radbolts of its max capacity of 100. Every time we run the Radbolt generator, it produces 25, so it would overflow the research terminal and discharge. To program around that, it sounds like too much work, so we're sticking with 2 dupes doing the research in the hopes one is recovering while the other is working. Unfortunately, we are down both of them right now, so it's a flawed system, but we have only 9 days left to make a rocket, so safety is no longer a concern. With time not being on our side, let's also send Meemaw back to the homeworld since Abnormola is entirely self-sustainable and only focused on shipping items and tending to Sweetles. With Meemaw's help, my first priority was making a self-powered oxygen machine, or SPOM, to increase our oxygen production since at the moment there was enough at the homeworld to keep the dupes happy, but as I accepted more dupes and started traveling across planets, the demand would far surpass my current production rate. The other reason is Abnormola is currently not producing any oxygen. The only production method was algae being fed into an oxygen diffuser. In terms of algae, we used the last of it, so I either could use the finite amount of water on Abnormola that would also run out, or vent lines into the base connected to the receiving teleporter on Abnormola that could be fed by the SPOM I was setting up on Radioactera. This was a much better permanent solution since I had 4 geyser producing water on the home asteroid, so I was in no short supply, with my polluted water vent actually overflowing into my base, causing a slight issue for my dupes to clean up. With the oxygen supply continually dwindling on Abnormola, I decided to send Marie back to the Radioactera colony as well, leaving Steve to hold down the fort at Abnormola all alone. Oxygen would hopefully come online in time to save him, but to do so, I needed Marie to speed up the SPOM build process. With 1 cycle left to spare, the SPOM roared to life, producing hydrogen to power its gas pumps and electrolyzers while sending 3 lines of oxygen to the colony. 1 for the left side, 1 for the right, and the last one to Abnormola, which I'm sure Steve is glad to hear since at best he had 2 cycles worth of oxygen left. So things got quite dicey for a bit, but with oxygen flowing through the abnormal events, both colonies were stabilized. There was no time to rest though, because we had to build an entire rocket in 1 day, meaning I had to set the emergency level to yellow alert, my dupe's worst fear. We have deadlines to meet, and safety is no longer a concern. The only luxury I spared was oxygen masks for them to wear as they built in the vacuum of space. All the refined metal and steel I needed were gathered, leaving only the construction errands left to complete. Unfortunately, all the strings I pulled weren't enough to finish as the time ticked over to cycle 201. The plans for the rocket were in place, they just had to be built, so I was fine pushing the launch deadline to cycle 300. That day seemed quite attainable aside from the fact the oxygen production unit I just built was kind of overheating, which seemed like a much bigger problem requiring immediate attention to fix, but I'm at cycle 201, so that's not my problem for today. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll catch you all next time. Captain's Log, Rowan reporting in, cycle 200. The last 100 days have been very productive. Abnormola was fully colonized, only requiring Steve to run the colony by himself. He's a good guy we found frozen in the ice and has proven his worth to the colony. Material science research has been conducted semi-successfully with some medical concerns for the researchers that management has claimed as acceptable. The groundwork for a nuclear reactor has been started, oxygen production has been improved with some overheating issues needing to be addressed as soon as possible, and our first rocket is almost fully constructed and ready to go. Once it is built, I look forward to going out on missions with my good old friend Otto. There is no other dupe I could trust more. There is so much we don't know about the galaxy that we need to discover if this colony is to stand the test of time. There is currently no source of oil on Radioactera or Abnormola, and without it, I fear we won't be able to solve the overheating issues with our oxygen production unit. Time is our worst enemy, but I have a good group of dupes under my command that I trust with my life. Overall, the colony is stable, and I don't see how anything could go wrong. Rowan signing off.